everyone, and now what we're going to do is to upload a Python file from GitHub into Google Collaboratory. So this is taken in a few steps. First, we have to download the file from GitHub, and then we will move it to Google Collaboratory. So as simple as that, what we're going to do is to open up the file in here. So this is the GitHub repository. So for now, we can just use this. What I'll do is I'll close it. And what I will do now, first step is to download the notebook from GitHub. Okay, so I will try maybe coral acidification. I'll click on this, enter this screen. Okay, so this is part of the Python challenge, the social impact code lead. So you can press raw. And after you press raw, you will enter this page here, but not to worry. So what you will do is you press right click. See this window up here, save as. You can just save it on your desktop, or in this case I'll save it in my downloads. Press save. You can see it's downloaded already. Okay, so what we have to do now is to change the file extension. So what we'll do now is to press right click, save as. You see this appear, the file name will appear on top. I'm using a MacBook, so if Windows will be similar, but what you have to do is at the end of this extension, change the file name. The file extension, you remove txt, it should look like this. All right, so after you've removed the .txt behind, this should be your file name, and what we will do is just download it. All right, if it still appears as a txt file, then what we have to do is to rename it in our selected folder. Right, so let me look for it. Right, so now you see within my downloads folder, there is this file called Python challenge. Again, press open with different apps, but what we want to do is to rename the file. Right, so you can press rename. You'll see the name appear here. Right, so this is the extension. So we need to remove the .txt from this and leave it as .ipynb. So .ipynb will justify or say that it's a Jupyter notebook or Python notebook, for example. So we press save, use ipynb, and you see that the words .txt will disappear. Initially, when it was a .txt file, you saw some words appear, but now it's just like this, right? So if you're opening it with Anaconda, or it's a Jupyter environment, you can just double click and you will see that the Jupyter Notebook app will open. So this is another way of opening up this notebook. So the first way, through Jupyter Notebook on an Anaconda Navigator. Okay, so let's just wait for this, and we'll open it up in Anaconda Navigator first, and then we'll try the Google Collaboratory version as well. Okay, so this will appear. Jupyter Notebook, then I press launch Jupyter Notebook. You can also use things like PyCharm over here. Right, so I'll use Jupyter Notebook for now. I'll launch it. All right, so over here I've created an empty folder. So this runs on your local host. So local host means that you can run this without using your internet connection. And what I'll do is I will upload the notebook here. So to upload, you can press the upload button and then look for the file. Right, I know where the file is, so I'll just press this. You see it up here, open. Okay. And now you will need to press the upload button. You see that your file name appears here. Just check that ipynb is the extension of your file. You press upload, and then the file will appear here. Right? So once you get to this step, you're all set to start learning on Python. So in the Jupyter Notebook environment, I just click this, click on the file. Then the notebook will open. Right? So this is perfect, and you just have open and started running your notebook environment. So over here, what you can do is move on to, start defining the variable. So for start, ph value. equals to 7.5, since the question asked about defining a pH value. So if you press just print pH value, press run, you'll see 7.5 appears. So perfect, everything's working great. So you can start doing the Python examples and the coding in the later cells. In a separate video, we'll talk about how do you go about tackling or addressing this question. But for now, let's just leave it as it is. Right, that's that. And this interface works similar to Google Collaboratory. So what you can do is, just press these buttons on top to navigate, run a cell, pause running a cell, and things like shifting the cell up and down. I can shift, if look at this line over here, if I want to shift it up, I can just press the up. See the cell moves. If I shift it down, shift it back down. Right, so these are all text. You can edit them as well. Just double click and you can edit the words here. If you're done editing the words, press run. Right, so that's the Jupyter Notebook interface. So if you want to download it, you download Anaconda Navigator. Okay, so now moving on to the Google Collaboratory environment. So one is using Jupyter Notebook, two, Google Collaboratory. So on Google Collaboratory, you can just do a quick Google search for Google Collaboratory, and all these will appear. Press welcome to Google Collaboratory. So for this, you have to be logged into a Gmail account. Okay, so that will mean something that you have an account at gmail.com. So use that email, log in on your browser, and after that, look for a relevant. Right, so this is the default page, right? When you first log in, you will see this, and this is a notebook just to share with on Google Collaboratory's interface and some of the libraries or code that it can execute. But what we want to do now is to upload the notebook that we have just looked at. So this will call for you to press File. Over here, you can do different things, right? New notebook, open notebook, and upload notebook. So what you do is press Upload Notebook. This will appear. So what you simply have to do is to drag your file. So let's let it upload. What it's doing is uploading the Jupyter Notebook or the Python file that we downloaded just now, and it's here. Ta-da! So on this Python challenge, you can see that this looks similar, but I'm using dark mode now, so it looks slightly different. Definitely like what we talked about. You can just change it, just dark, and change it to light. And you're on light theme now. So this is just for you to switch around, play around with the interface, but this is exactly how you run the code. So similarly, what we'll do is we'll just define a variable. So just click anywhere within the cell. I'll zoom it in a bit. Right, task 1, understanding variables in the system. We'll get to the Python programming and understanding the syntax in another video. But now what we do is pH underscore value equals to 7.5. And you can press print pH value. So what will happen is run it, press the run button, similar concept, but instead in Jupyter Notebook, you see that the run button appears on top, but here it appears just beside the coding block. So these are all coding blocks where you can type lines of Python code and it will give you an output. This is the human input to Python, and you will see a output from the system. Let's just give it a while to load. Okay, and you see that the output is 7.5. Exactly, because I defined a variable. The variable name is pH underscore value, and we assigned a value to it. So if you want to see the variable type, all you have to do is just and hover over it, and then you see this. Right, it will tell you that float, that's a float value, and the value associated with this variable, which is pH value, is 7.5. Okay. You can see also, notice if you look closely, right, every time you highlight a variable, right, it will show you how many times or wherever it appears in your code. And variables are unique. So if you do this and you write another line that says pH level equals 7.0, maybe you want to make a guess on what the output will be. Right? If you press run, you'll see that what happens is that it reassigns the value. So Python is from top down, it looks from first line to last line. And then what happens is that you define, this is just a comment. Comments will not be read by the Python code. pH value, you can see that it's highlighted 3 times. Right, so first line over here, you are assigning the value of 7.5 to the variable pH value. And then in this line, you are reassigning the value of 7.0 to the variable pH value. And this line we are doing is we are printing the value and the variable pH value. Right. So printing will mean that you are giving as an output here. So for example, if I do not have this line, if I run it, there'll be no output. So printing will help you to have what we call system visibility. You're able to see what the system is having installed inside memory, as well as to print an output for us. Right, so that's this over here. And what you can do is to go ahead and try these questions, try these tasks. And if you have any questions, contact details are all in the comments section. So you can reach out whenever, and happy programming. So just to do a summary and a recap, we tried this environment in Google Collaboratory. This is the Google Collaboratory version. And we also tried it in Jupyter Notebook. So versatile, whichever you feel is most conducive for Python programming, learning, experimentation, please go ahead. Right? Google Collaboratory runs on the cloud, while Jupyter Notebook runs on your local host. So what that will mean is if you do not have internet connection, it will majorly run on your Jupyter Notebook. Right? It's a request that is sent to the cloud. So with that, we have come to the end. We first look at downloading the code from GitHub, right? Running it on Google Collaboratory as well as in Jupyter Notebook. Right, so happy programming, and we'll see you in the next portion when we talk about the different libraries that we are using in this code. All right, so with that, that will be the end of this portion, right? And we will see you in the next one. Bye.